Each day we should be thinking, what can we learn from today to make sure tomorrow is better?
It's only through research that we will change the status quo.
This is the most fascinating, exciting, impactful work that I could ever be involved in.
I'm Carrick Robinson, Chief Executive Officer of the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation. Our purpose is to help transform the healthcare of the children and young people of WA so they can live their healthiest and happiest lives. We do that by funding groundbreaking research, the latest medical equipment and technology, the importation of world-class expertise from around Australia and the world, and we're funding positive family experiences to make their stays at hospital just that little bit easier. A key strategic issue for us is to ensure that we're funding initiatives and projects that create real impact for the children of Western Australia.
I'm Derek Roback, I'm Professor of Paediatric Radiology, Perth Children's Hospital. A lot of the stuff that we're doing is cutting edge. You can't find it in the medical journals, and the reason we've been able to develop this into the best centre in Australia is that we've had very, very generous support from donors in addition to government funding of the facility. The carbon fibre table is allowing us to do joint procedures with surgeons to do some really quite big operations through tiny little holes. And this is the kind of thing that we've not been able to do before in Western Australia, and you can come in, have quite a major procedure and maybe go home from hospital the next day with no scars and no post-operative pain. Children in Western Australia are in a really good position if they need these type of treatments, that they'll be able to come to this hospital and get the world's best treatment. Even though we've got the best facility of any children's hospital in the world, we still need to work on the people here. And my personal vision is to develop and train a team that will live on after I've left and will be much better than me.
I'm Fiona Wood. I'm a burns surgeon and I've been working at the Perth Children's Hospital since it opened. I'm a plastic and reconstructive surgeon and I spend most of my time working with patients with burn injury and scarring. Here in the Perth Children's Hospital we would see and admit for in-hospital care around 350 children a year. In the clinic here we will see some thousands, and out there in the community burns are happening all the time. Here in Western Australia, with a very significant data linkage project, we looked and we saw that having had a burn injury does impact the rest of your life. And what we've been really dedicated towards now is understanding why and the mechanism behind it. The inflammation just changes things in our bodies, and we know that that's related to things like heart disease and mental health. So it's understanding that, because if we understood the mechanism, here for burns, we could change the trajectory, but not just for burns, but for other things as well. Here at the Perth Children's Hospital, we are able to deliver a burns service of excellence, minimising the trauma, minimising the pain, obviously minimising the scar, but that's only where it starts. Each day we should be thinking, what can we learn from today to make sure tomorrow is better? And the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation gives us that opportunity. It gives us the support to think about what we're going to be doing in the future. What will burn care look like in 10 or 20 years? Well, it starts right here, right now, and it starts with that support.
I am Toby Coleman, Professor of Systemic Biology here at Telethon Kids Institute. We work with the Human Vaccines Project, which is a global enterprise of the best that recognize that we don't really know enough about how vaccines work, and they put all the resources together to try to break that and make us understand how vaccines work so we can make vaccines better. We focus this specifically on early life because that's where the impact is the biggest, meaning any intervention that we give in early life, including vaccines, is going to have the biggest impact in terms of saving lives and promoting health. Vaccines, after clean water, have been the most effective human-made intervention in medical history. More lives are saved because of vaccines than any other medical intervention ever. And that is part of the reason that I want to harness the power of vaccines to make everybody benefit from it.
My name is Nick Cottado and I'm a clinician scientist. I work as a paediatric oncologist at Perth Children's Hospital, and I also co-lead the brain tumour research program at the Telethon Kids Institute. More children die of brain cancer than any other disease, and that's a pretty woeful statistic in this day and age. And this is a statistic that really needs to change. There are some brain cancers that remain completely incurable despite all the modern advances that we've made in treatment. Even our most successful brain cancers where we can cure the child, it leaves significant damage which is irreversible and has an ongoing impact on the children's quality of life. The way to change that is to find new treatments that are more specific against the cancers, so not to get so much collateral damage. And that's the work that we're doing in these labs here, where we're trying to identify new drugs and new treatments that are more effective but less damaging. We have identified a new drug which we're taking to clinical trial, which is going to open very soon. So I do believe we're having an impact and hopefully going to make a huge difference to not just children in Perth, West Australia, but actually internationally. I grew up in a very small village in Italy in the 1970s. A girl that was a couple of years older than me at school had leukemia. And that little girl died of leukemia. What hurts me is that if she'd been born 20, 30 years later, she almost certainly would have been cured of that disease and that she wouldn't have died. Doctors back then and researchers back then said, this is not acceptable. Our children should not be dying in the dawn of their lives and we should be curing them. And they didn't give up and they did research. It wasn't overnight, it took decades, building one clinical trial upon another. And equally, I believe that we are now making those small incremental steps here now so that for the next generation, we make brain cancer the next one that's almost all cured, and then on to the next incurable type of cancer.
My name is Amanda Trapp. I'm the director of Fun on 4, and Fun on 4 is all about healing through happiness. It's a place where children and families can be together and make happy memories together in hospital. This is where they learn to build friendships. They learn all about the world that they're in and how to interact with others. So this is their home and their play space. Everything in this area, other than the furniture here, is donor funded. So all of our arts and crafts supplies are donor funded. All of the toys that you see, all the games are donor funded. This place wouldn't be possible without our donors.
To all our donors, I'd like to thank you sincerely for the incredible support you've given us over the years. You're making an incredible impact on the healthcare of children in WA.